Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Raw and Uncovered Truth of the Awakened Soul with Nicole and Kristi. And before I pass it over to Kristi, I do want to address that we're almost out of March, and which is very exciting in itself. And if we do, repeat ourselves and get a little like stumbles across our words and sound ridiculous today, well, that's just Mercury just rearing its lovely head through March. So I'm going to pass it over to Kristi for our angel message for today.
Good morning, everybody. Speaking of March, I had a little hiccup this morning as well. I had a completely different message prepared, but the angels had different plans. So I got a little caught off track, but the message that they want me to share with you today is all about the conscious mind. And they said that this will start from today and go all the way into April 3rd. So just be aware of your conscious mind and your thoughts. Angels, the conscious mind is a sacred bridge between the external world and our inner divinity. It empowers us to be mindful, embracing each thought and experience as an opportunity for growth and alignment. Through spiritual practices like meditation, affirmation, and deep reflection, we can harness the conscious mind to transcend fear and align with our highest self. In its wisdom, the conscious mind invites us to listen to our intuition and recognize the divine feminine or the divine masculine within us. When nurtured with love and intention, the conscious mind becomes a powerful vessel, manifesting our desires and aligning with our truth, reminding us that every moment holds the potential for inner healing, self growth, and spiritual transformation. Affirmation. I honor the sacred power of my conscious mind to guide me on my spiritual journey and align me with my true self.
Ooh, I like that affirmation.
Very
I
powerful.
Yeah, I think I like that better than the angel message. I don't very good. Oh, well, I mean, talk about transformation. That's March. March has been like a huge, just one big ball of transformation, right? We're purging, we're clearing, we are kind of just, coming to the reset and resetting from there.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's important. I really do feel like this message, I was so pushed to give this message today because of the fact that March has been such a reset. And I think people are having a hard time staying in their conscious mind this month with all of the uprooting that a lot of people are going through right now.
Well, yeah, I mean that the energy has been like insane. The planets aren't helping. I mean, you have like a lot of things coming into play, but like they're all coming into play to clear all of that, right? So it's getting your subconscious mind to kind of, like into balance.
Unite.
Yeah, into some type of union.
I like that you brought that up because actually that's what I wanted to talk about is in order to be able to retrain the conscious mind, you first have to bridge the gap between the conscious mind and the subconscious mind.
Yeah, there's a lot of bridging. Actually, I heard that myself, but then I heard it on somebody else talk about it as well for like this particular week in itself, like the bridging. I mean, Mercury's gonna have me like truly stumbling. It's a good thing like I warned everybody in the beginning because I'm like I have all this stuff to say, and then all of a sudden I'm like, huh? Cannot wait for Mercury to be over. And I don't usually normally say that.
That was me 2 podcasts ago. I felt like I was just sitting there and there was so much I wanted to say, but nothing was coming
And
out. I
nothing is
just felt
coming
like I
out.
was just like,
I have so much written here, but yet still nothing is like physically coming out of my mouth. Um, as far as like it going to April 3rd, I mean that kind of, like the angel message and the subconscious mind versus the conscious mind, that completely makes sense because you do again, you have all this planetary action, you have the new moon, right? And it's an eclipse and it's the new moon in Aries, which starts off our year. Like, Aries is the first zodiac sign. So it's starting off our new year, which is kind of what I said last week, is that, or maybe it was the week before. I don't even know anymore. Is that everything that we're letting go and we're clearing, and like the shifts and all of the things that are happening to us that we have to let go of, and we have to be aware of, and the shadows and everything, right, that we're dealing with as a human, and human versus being aligned and stuff on that, aka the transformation, all comes into play, because we're not going to be taking this forward, moving this forward into our lunar new year, which is like as the new moon hits on the 29th. So that all makes sense. I know it's also a very intense week, so we have to get all of that stuff out. And again, that is, you know, your conscious mind versus your
Mhm.
subconscious mind. So at some points, oh my God. Like I was watching something that said there was several people that said when your nose gets itchy, that's when the guides come in, when you're doing, like a podcast. And I'm just like, oh, the guides are always with me. But I'm like, oh my God, my nose is like always forever itchy when I'm doing the podcast. So I was like, oh, never put two and two together.
Oh, I kind of get it because they always say your nose gets itchy when you're going to get into a fight, but like fighting with the angels is like, I'm talking about something right now. Please, I can't do two things at once. Like, let
Oh
me
my,
get out what I'm saying and then you tell me what you want to say.
yeah. So they're just directing me that, okay, so that would be like a subconscious versus conscious mind, right? So like, I know I'm getting something in, but I'm like, no, 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 I'm brushing it off as something else. And then I like totally ignore it. So that's like a perfect example that they're giving me.
It really was actually. I like that.
Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, well, going back what you were saying is for people who are don't really know, our conscious mind is the mind that we use every day. We use this to think, we use this to reason, and make decisions. And then our subconscious mind is the what works behind the scenes, and that's our emotions, our habits, our behaviors, our triggers. They're all kind of hiding behind the scenes of that. So the way I like to think of it is your conscious mind, it steers the ship every day. It's the part of our mind that's attuned to what's going on logically. And then our, subconscious mind is kind of like that undercurrent, and you're trying to steer the ship, but the emotions and the triggers and past experiences, traumas, they're extremely powerful. And if you're not aligned in your conscious and subconscious mind, what's going to happen? The undercurrent is stronger than the ship. So the undercurrent's going to take over. And no matter how hard you try to drive in a direction, the undercurrent's going to take you out of that direction and bring the ship in a completely different area. So you have to be aligned in order to be able to fully steer your ship. And that's what we were talking about, what we talk about in a lot of podcasts, Nicole, is like manifestation. So many people are like, oh, why can't I manifest all of these things? It's because your conscious mind wants these things, but your subconscious mind prevents you from receiving them. And when they are in alignment, then that's when the receiving comes in. But when the subconscious and the conscious are out of balance, you'll never be able to fully manifest the life that you deserve and desire.
Yeah. For some reason, I don't know. Like you were saying that, and then I was getting like this huge download, and then I just went to Google something, and now it's not working. Like my Google's not working. So I'm like, I don't understand. Well, your subconscious is the one that you like, they say when you play anything, like when you fall asleep and you hear things, like you have meditations on, affirmations on, anything, like it's still absorbing like all of, like the things that you're listening to. It is kind of like, retraining your conscious versus it's such an interesting dynamic. at play. Let's put it that way. It
It really
really
is. It's like devil's advocate. It's like
it,
the angel and the devil on each shoulder.
it's and it's also what you know. So I believe that it's, and again, Mercury's totally going to screw me up because I am just hearing like a million thousand voices right now, and like no one's coming in straight, and I'm just getting like, I feel like I'm getting yelled at over here, which is, you know, so not unusual, but like for some reason it's like highly intense yelled at. Um, One holds the key to like all your memories, right? All your
Mhm.
past memories, all your you know your soul memories and thoughts. Is it the conscious mind that gets in the way, or is, oh my god,
No, well, I mean, it depends on how you look at it, right? Because it could go that way because your conscious mind will logically try to block
right, right. So, right.
the
Okay.
subconscious.
And you would think that I would know this because this is not, I mean, like we've spoken about this how many times, but
Well,
I
that's like when you do
feel
the
like a
past life
complete blonde right now.
regression,
Yeah.
right? We're accessing the subconscious. So they could work against each other in many different ways. Getting them to align and work together is extremely difficult, you
Right.
know? And the first pattern, the first like way to recognize our patterns is to, you know, see where we're making excuses, where we're delaying tasks or getting stuck. That's really how we know. But it depends on how you want to access each one.
It, yeah. Well, okay. I don't, again, we've spoken about this how many times, and I feel like a complete blonde right now. And I could, you know, make fun of blondes because I am one. So,
I can't because I'm a fake one.
uh, like, I mean, nowadays I'm a fake one, but like I am originally a blonde. But that has nothing to do with it. I just feel like I'm like, oh my God, I don't know what the hell's going on right now. So yeah, so basically I mean, I am like at a complete loss right now. I'm probably gonna have to cut all of this out.
Nicole's having trouble staying in her conscious mind,
There we go. I am
you
getting
know,
calls all of a sudden all over the
because
place. I don't know why, because I was fine before we started recording. And now I'm like, they're pulling me here, they're pulling me there. They're like, I don't get it. All right. So they want me to use, that's where the time comes into play. Okay. Everybody just needs to just back up off me right now so I could function. So, okay. So they wanted me to talk about time. So time and the way you view it. Now that's conscious versus subconscious, right? So last week Kristi and I were both saying, "Oh my gosh, you know, time feels so slow, like it's going slow." I mean, it's sped up, but it was going like so slow, right? And then the second we got off the podcast, we were like, "Oh my God, the day flew by, lost all types of time." And, you know, like our reality was like way thrown off, right? And then it just continued, right? Because I mean, I've been in this,
yes,
yeah, in this sped up time, which is like taking us back to December when time actually really started to speed up. So now it's the
right.
way that you view that, right? So that's your subconscious versus your conscious mind. How are you viewing the time? Do you feel like, oh, you're, you know, like, first of all, time is of the essence, time is no big deal, time is linear, time is not linear. Like, what, how do you, you know, it's your perspective on that. It's the way you view it, right? So which mind is actually viewing it, your subconscious or your conscious mind, right? So you kind of got, you kind of go with that flow. um yeah, they were saying something else, and then I am, I am so not on point today. I'm like kind of, they're like, no, 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 don't get it. Don't, they're like, don't take it out on yourself. Thanks, guys, as you're throwing shit at me. But so they're saying that, you know, like obviously, if you haven't realized it yet, like time is not of the essence, is what they're saying. So like time is not sufficient, time is not what you believe it is. So what what mind and where are you at, like when you think of time? So that's what they kind of want you to focus on. So whoever's listening to this, they really want you to focus on how you view time moving forward. Okay, so it's going to speed up, it's going to, which we had said it's going to speed up in 2025. I think what source is trying to get across for with the time and everything and how you view it, which is, your point of view and which mind you're actually viewing this with, is when we talk about like 2025 and how many shifts there were going to be and all of this and it like it's going to be 10 years in 1 year. They're also referring to the Lunar New Year. Why do they keep referring to that? That they keep referring to, the new moon in Aries being the start of what they consider 2025. So basically right now we're purging out everything from still 2024 that we're
Mhm.
lingering in, which is bringing us into April. They're saying April will be much better than March, but it's not going to be like the slingshot bam, like, it's going to be more, May. And I think we've spoken about like Kristi, you even said this last podcast, like it's going to be more like May, summer.
I feel that personally, that's how I feel.
Yeah. So they really want to get that across. I guess they want you to look forward to, the process and everything. They're saying after the new moon, like things are gonna they're saying just it's like you're up a creek without a paddle, basically is what they're saying that this week is gonna be. So it's gonna be
Mm.
interesting, it's gonna be impactful, but it's going to like literally put you on the path, again, if you are doing the work on yourself, like it's going to put you on a path moving forward that's gonna, like you're going to be in your right frame of mind. That's the
Yes.
message I got. I don't know what the hell I just said, but like that's what I got. But
I got what you're saying. I think what you are trying to say is that it's going to be really important for the next week to really work in our conscious minds and use our mindfulness. Using mindfulness helps to slow down that time. Staying in the moment is so important, I think, for this week. Not trying to jump ahead or fall behind in the, with your subconscious, because your subconscious always wants to either jump ahead or fall behind due to fear. So staying in your conscious mind this week, staying in the present moment, and things that we could do to stay in the present moment would be really important. So let's talk about them for a second. Meditating, if you have some time to meditate, either sitting or walking in nature, right? Really, really important. Mindfulness breathing. Sometimes we overtask. I know I'm guilty of multitasking, and multitasking makes your body speed up like you're in fast forward motion. So picking one task to do at a time, taking a minute, doing some mindful breathing just to relax the body. Mindful listening. I like this sometimes. This one works a lot for me, especially when I'm laying down to bed. I like to play brown noise because my mind is always constantly going. I feel like I live on fast forward a lot of times. So when I lay down to bed, I like to listen to brown noise, white noise, brown noise, rain, whatever makes you relax. And what I like to do is I like to focus in on the sound. So when you focus in on something like the sound of rain or the sound of the noise, it actually breaks up your thought patterns. And when you're listening, I mean, sometimes I'll listen to 5, 10 minutes. All of a sudden, I'll just fall asleep because my mind finally relaxes because I'm horning in on a sound and not, you know, the thought processes that are going through my mind. So those are a lot of great ways to stay in the present moment.
yeah, so they're really stressing the present moment, and that's like moving forward as well. Like they really want just to for us to focus on the present moment. They're also saying to listen to like even if you're not into meditation and you can't hang with meditation, because again, not for everybody. And they're saying that you should be able to meditate um consciously. Look at that.
Right.
Like, like automatically to connect and clear. So I think that's going to be like part of us in the future. But anyway, they're saying so even if you don't meditate and you were talking about like the white noise, the brown noise, sitting there
Mm.
listening to, the hertz, I think it's like 250 hertz for heart chakra, or maybe it's like 558 or whatever. I mean, you could Google these. I think on YouTube as well, they have a lot, but like heart chakra and root chakra, they want you, and sacral, as they just said right now. So let me just write that down. And sacral, they want you to listen to those as well, because those are just beats. There's no words, there's no nothing.
Mhm.
It's just hurts, and they want you to do that. Also, they're saying just Mother Earth in general, because she's been shifting a lot. So you could listen to, to her vibe as well. Um, and that'll kind of synchronize you, help synchronize you. Um, you said something else.
Mindful breathing.
Breathing
I
in
was
general.
talking,
Yes, that's it. Yes, thank you. Wow, how the hell did you know that?
I don't know. I just felt it. I
The
felt you.
breathing. So they're saying, eat less, breathe more.
Yes, yeah, that has been kind of like a mantra for me lately without even realizing it. I've noticed I've done that. I've been kind of craving more of like healthier foods, and I feel because of that reason my body is relaxing and able to breathe more, take that deep breath, you know?
Yeah, as I'm actually breathing right now, because I'm like, oh my God, there's so much coming in right now that I just.
The meditations too, another great thing to do for meditations is just say those affirmations. I mean, I post them, I pin them, on the podcast. Take the affirmation and say it to yourself throughout the day. It relaxes your body, continues to be mindful in the moment. And not only that, it gives you a boost of confidence. And the more we do that, the more we are training our subconscious mind to not, go back to any of those negative thought patterns. You don't even realize it's happening. I think affirmations are so funny. I do affirmations a lot and I always kind of giggle when I do them because they feel silly, but they really do help. They really do
Oh,
help.
they do. I mean, I actually have a ton of affirmations on my website, like a ton. And even and I personally would say to repeat them 3 times in a row. So
Yes.
you go down like your whole list of affirmations, or you do them like one at a time, and you do three times in a row. But yeah, I have a ton. I didn't even think about that. That I'll link or put in the description. It'll
Yeah.
be somewhere on the podcast. But yeah, no, I love affirmations. I used to do them every morning. In March is like literally has thrown me so off of my game here, but I can't even begin to explain what March has done for me so far. But like between the retrogrades, the energy, and the majority of my shadows are done. So like I'm not even doing shadow work. It's like I'm doing shadow work for the collective more than I am
Right.
myself. So it's like you're clearing out all of that. You're doing this, you're doing that. Exhausted. I'm still exhausted.
I'm so exhausted.
I'm still exhausted. And I really thought that was gonna shift. But like that has not shifted yet. So like I'm still exhausted. Um still like
I I hate to say it. Um, the the exhaustion and the tiredness is definitely going to go into mid-April. It really is because we're still going to be clearing in April. It's not going to be as intense. It's not going to be as rapid, but we're still going to be clearing.
Yeah, no, mid-April for sure.
Yeah.
Like it'll be less intense. It'll definitely be less intense. Like you'll feel like
Yes.
you're moving, like you're moving more forward, instead of like here we feel like we're just purging, 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 and resetting and resetting and resetting. Whereas
But
April will be more of a movement, but in the physical. But yeah, the energy's kind of gonna come.
it's ramping up. I mean, you could feel it, right? Because
Oh
first
yeah.
first couple of weeks we're talking about how we felt like everything was on slow motion and hindering.
Yeah.
And then right after we got off the podcast talking about how, oh, it's different from December, I texted you the day later and I said, I don't know what just happened, but I feel like I hit the fast forward button. And by Thursday, I was like, I feel like I'm right back in December. And I'd actually want to look up the message from December's podcast just to see if the angel message is almost the same. I need to go back and see. I'm very curious about
Stopped
that.
and went back and listened to that one. Do you think I remember? I never remember.
No, I don't remember either, and I write them. So I don't expect you to remember them.
This is true. I mean, in March, I don't even remember my own name, but like even yesterday, for instance, like I looked at the clock and it was 6:30, I want to say, maybe not even. And then the next time I looked at the clock, it was like 9 o'clock. And I was like, what the like
Oh, it's
I was like, I don't understand, where all that time went. And I was like, can we just like, like go back a little bit so I can get 3 more hours? But yeah, so as far as that, like that's coming more into play. Energy level as far as us still being exhausted and you guys out there still being exhausted, that's going to be it is going to be continuing into April without a doubt, but it's going to be more of you're more upbeat, you're more in the now. You're not going to be kind of going backwards into the like and working on so much stuff because that's purging out, like come the new moon. So on Saturday, everyone should feel a little bit of relief. I'm definitely going to say that it's definitely going to be a shift of energy. What we're shifting into, not really sure, but it's going to be a little bit more upbeat and positive. And the light workers, especially, are still going to be a little tired. But again, you'll be able to focus more. Definitely stay in the now, right? So, although you can make vacation plans for the summer, right? Like we're all doing, they just want you to focus in the now, like in the moment, stay in the moment as much as possible. So don't try and make like a 2 to 5 year plan because that's not happening anymore. So that's what they want to like really come across. And okay, yeah, I get it. Oh my God. They really want to oh my God. They really want to make that clear. So moving forward, right? So I used to okay, I'm using it as an example. Just give me a second. So they want me to use me as an example, right? So like the majority of my life, like growing up, I always had like these plans, like, oh, 22, I'm gonna get married, 24, I'm gonna have my first kid, whatever, right? So everybody used to make like these plans. Well, not everybody, but the majority, especially like as adults now, right? And you're, either single and you want to like have this accomplished by what age, and or you're married with kids or not married with kids, whatever, you have kids, and you're like, okay, so I need to be ready for when my kid goes to college, or I need to be ready when my kid goes to kindergarten, or whatever, like they're saying there's no more planning. There's no more like 5 year plans. There's no more nothing because everything is shifting. So your plans that like think that you have for your 5 year plan doesn't exist because we're constantly evolving, and that's what we're going to constantly be doing moving forward. So the next couple of years is very intense for us, not intense on like a March level, but intense is like evolution. So we're going to be like coming into things as far as education systems are going to change. Crypto versus regular currency is going to change. I think crypto, well, it's not that I think, I know crypto is going to be like a major player. The way we view things, so if you're not like fully awakened and your viewpoint is still off, again, conscious versus subconscious, right? The way that you look at things and who's really taking, who's in the lead, that's all going to shift, right? It's all like a power shift. Waking up to really like what's been going on, the illusions, the matrix that the government has had us in all after all of these years, that's all breaking down, that's all coming in. You're like, so you really can't make a plan for the future because the future you may not be the version of you that you are right now. So they're saying like really just start to live your life like if you're in full abundance, and take it from there. Again, you could make travel plans, of course, like I'm not saying that, but it's just like your future self is not the version that you're in now, and it's going to be like you're just going to keep elevating and elevating, and the whole energy in the world is shifting, so it's not going to be as dense, it's going to be very different. So like it's going to, I can't really explain how different it's going to be, but it's going to be different. So like your whole viewpoint is going to be different. So if you do make those plans and you do have like those, like 2 to 5, 2 to 10 year, 5 to 10 year plan, 10 to 15 year plan, be flexible because it will shift. And they really want me to, like make that firm that you guys understand that you have to be flexible because things are just going to be, just like lay back and kind of like let things unfold for you. No more chasing. Can't stress that enough. We stress that on every podcast. No more chasing. No more get out of your masks, guys.
Mhm.
Like get out of
Impulsive
your shadow
behavior.
years, the toxic behavior. Like, everything's got to go. And if you're willing to do the work, now is the time. Like, put in like this last week and kind of just like go full force into, clearing out everything that you need to be, that needs to be cleared out in order for you to, reset and move forward. Whew.
Yeah, okay. I did feel the energy kind of dissipate. So I think they got you to get their point across because all of a sudden you finished talking and I felt like that like shh kind of feeling like my body relaxed along with yours. Um that's really funny. Um
So funny.
I think it's important right now to just be focusing on our mindfulness and staying in the moment. Going back to some tasks to help us stay in the moment. This is one I think everybody kind of gets lost in is actually listening to people when they're speaking. This is a great way to stay mindful. So many people don't do it. And I mean, I'm guilty of it sometimes too, trying to cultivate like the best, answer to go along with what someone's talking about while they're talking.
Right.
And
Versus
I'm
enough.
not listening to everything that they're saying. The best way to stay mindful and in the present moment is that when people are speaking to you, listen, don't hear, listen to the words that they are speaking and then take a second and answer. That is such an amazing way to stay in the present moment. That's the one thing I think everybody doesn't realize that they do so often. So now when you do that, that enhances a restless mind syndrome. So when other people are talking, you're hearing them, you're not listening to them because your mind is so restless. So if you really horn in, like I said, on the sound or what someone's talking about, that calms the restless mind. You're able to listen to what someone's saying and answer logically when you're only hearing half of what someone's saying and you're so busy trying to cultivate this amazing answer to make them feel better, you're really only grasping half of what someone's saying. So I think that's a huge player in mindfulness, staying in the moment.
Yeah, definitely staying in the moment. They wanted me to talk about, you just said it, and then something moved in the corner of the room, and then just saying, never mind, never mind, never mind. It's, it's, I don't know why they're telling me never mind now. When they so made it so adamant for me.
You look so cute sitting there right now. You remind me of like a little Wranglers commercial or something. Like I see like your jean and then
Yeah,
and your flannel, and you just look so cute.
um, I don't, I don't know how to translate this. I don't know how to translate it. So there's okay. So they're saying like mindsets and mindfulness is also like a human term. It's not really a term of existence. That's how that translated. It's just staying, aligned and being in alignment with positivity. I'm really really not translating this very well. I
I
don't know.
think I think that they could confuse you because they work through your subconscious mind. So everything that they tell us is in the subconscious mind. It's through feeling, and they don't live our most don't live our earthly experience. So when they try to get a point across to us, they don't really realize that we are living an earthly experience.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's why it comes across so freaking strong sometimes, and they are trying to get your attention and you're not paying attention. Um, no, it was you said something about I honestly,
Speaking without planning your response,
yeah, logical. That's what
using
you
your
said,
logical mind. Mhm.
using your logical mind. So they're saying there is no such thing as your logical mind, right? So that's a mindset. So that is you can have logical explanations for is exactly what they showed me for this. So there's no logical, explanation for what you go through for for evolving and purging and stepping into like a higher version of yourself. So
Right.
there's
I
no
understand that. Yeah.
that. So sometimes when you are in a conversation with somebody and you're looking for a logical response to give them, there is none because that conversation might be on a denser level and not making any sense to you, which is why you're not hearing it. So they're on a different frequency. I mean, really, you couldn't just start with that because I like that I already know. Okay, so basically, yeah. Welcome to my world. So they're saying that yes, you're saying to listen, right? Which they want us to literally more like sit with ourselves and listen, but listen to people that are on your frequency. So when you're in a conversation and you don't hear it and you're going quick to a response, right? And how to respond like exactly what you were saying, Kristi, right? And like and you're looking for a logical response of like a well mannered response. They're saying that if you're not paying attention to that conversation, like if you're not hearing that person, that's not on your frequency. So it doesn't matter. Like it doesn't call for a response. And they know that that may seem rude, like as a human, but it's irrelevant because it's not on your frequency. So you just, okay, okay, and like kind of just dissolve the conversation. Well, that is kind of rude. I say like now that I say that out loud. But they're saying that it doesn't like you shouldn't think more of it because it's just the reason why you don't hear it is because like it's not your frequency. You're not you're not an energetic match. So so basically what they're saying is conversations. Watch your conversation. So if you're like in not a receiving mode of that conversation, just say uh-huh, and like learn to not speak to that person very much anymore until you match on your frequency. That's basically the I am getting
I totally get that if you're not in a work environment and you have absolutely no choice whatsoever than to sit and listen and respond, then, being mindful in that conversation. But I was, just trying to make a point about being mindful and in a way to stay mindful. But I guess to also you could say to be mindful and stay mindful is to protect yourself too and just walk away from the situation. So that works as well.
yeah,
If you're
they
in a
they
situation that you could do that
they really want us to be aware of like where we're putting ourselves and
and
especially
putting our energy.
yes,
Yeah.
and putting our energy. So obviously Christy and I talk about this, all of a sudden I am so nauseous. I can't even begin to tell you.
Girl, I don't know what's going on.
I think it's just like all the energy that's coming and like it's really like getting to me. So what they're right, I get it. Okay. So I'm like just probably shouldn't have picked up the magnetizing rock, but I did. The crystal, sorry. Because I was hearing like 20,000 things. I should have picked up
Why
the
would you pick
cord
up the crystal when you have
because
all
I was trying to
these
get like a clear
conversations going
direction.
on?
Everybody was like jumping at me and nobody was like listening to like my boundaries because they don't care. Is basically what they were like. So we want to get our point across. So there we go. So they want to for us to focus on us, right? So they want our energy to be turned on to us. So the second that we feel like off balance or off kilter, as they just said, off kilter with somebody, they want us to pull our energy back and throw it on us, right? To remember that there's no there's no hard feelings as us humans take them, right? So like, hard feelings would be somebody coming at us and somebody like projecting onto us. We have to remember that it's not us, it's the person projecting, onto us, and to like really turn that energy of like where you would respond. Of course, they're saying use your voice if you need to use your voice, to make sure that those boundaries are up and like, know where that person stays. I really do apologize if like this isn't coming out right. And
No, it makes a lot of sense. It also has to do with mindfulness
right,
of your energy and what other
right. So
people
they
are
want you to
bringing
be
around you.
very, very consciously aware that when you are not in the correct situation for yourself, to turn the energy back on yourself and get out of there and kind of just, make the space in any situation right now, and focus on you. Right. So because there's going to be major shifting, so don't get caught up in somebody else's shift.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean,
Focus on you. It's I don't know. I love that you're like, oh, 100%. I'm sure you were saying this. I get it, but like right now I'm not getting it. I'm probably not even translating correctly. I'm just like,
no, I get it. I get it. I hear you.
yeah.
I know exactly what you're saying about, focusing on yourself and not letting other people's bad, behaviors and habits, penetrate you. Know that they have to be aligned with their own work. And we talk about this all the time, taking a step back and going within yourself and realizing that people make comments to you. It doesn't necessarily even have to do with you. It's where they are on their journey, and how they, somehow look at other people and they're kind of maybe a little bit jealous of where other people are. They want to be in that position. And did I spark a thought?
They were literally, as they were talking and I was hearing you talk, you guys said it at the same time. And now it's gone. What position, how, okay, so no comparing, right? And we've talked about this. That's what you were just saying what they were saying at the same time. So and I could do two things at once. I could listen to two different things. Like as far as like not taking on anybody else's, crap and, their
Mm.
abilities, they're saying, don't also compare yourself to anybody at the same time. So if you feel like, this one's ahead of you or this one's that, or again, and we've spoken about this on major episode, like I think like almost every episode,
Right, it comes
like
up.
you see your neighbor doing something, or you see somebody in the spiritual world ahead of you, or like just this person has a nicer house, this person has a nicer car, materialistic things, non-materialistic. um there's no comparison. Like you are on your journey, you are, focusing on the timing, the divine timing in your life, the alignment. They keep stressing alignment, like the word alignment, the alignment in your life, versus anybody else who's doing whatever, because they may not be in their true self, their true authenticity. Like they're not, while getting all of what they're doing. So don't compare yourself to something that may look like it's better than what you have. That and yeah, I could say that, but like when I translate it, it sounds so odd. um, so they really want you to they really
When
want
you play it back, it's not going to sound as
you to, I hope not.
I don't think it will, because it is making sense. It's making sense.
Yeah,
Promise.
so they definitely want you to notice that. So they kind of want you to be able to, the plan is for you to be able to like, notice what you're doing right away. And of course, many of us do already. And sometimes we fall off, and that's okay. They don't want us to be hard on ourselves. They're saying we're humans. So you have to understand we're having a human experience. Yes, we're light beings. Yes, we know an extraordinary amount of knowledge. Ooh, that was a nice big word. An extraordinary amount of wisdom and knowledge. It doesn't really, like sometimes we don't have access to that wisdom and knowledge because, that's part of our journey. That's part of our path. So we need to walk our journey of alignment, right,
in
our
our own timing.
authentic self, in our own timing, and there's no comparison. They're really stressing the no comparison. I don't know why it's coming out so ass backwards. They're telling me it's not, but to me it's coming over ass backwards. But yeah, so to really, really focus on you. And I know, like, we always say that, the focus should always be on
Mhm.
you, whether, like in the beginning of your journey, when you're waking up and realizing that the focus was not on you and it was on a relationship or a career, or, like whatever it was focused on, money. The saying, the focus is on you, because then once you focus on you and you have that power and you hold that power, it's like your right. So it's like your soul knows the way, but they're saying, but it's while you're doing that and while you're stepping into your power, it's like you're holding the torch. Like the torch has been lit, for
Mhm.
you on your, like, follow the yellow brick road from the Wizard of
What
Oz. Like the path will, like, illuminate for you, and you'll.
right. And remember what you envy or love, I don't and not envy in a bad way, in a good way. What you envy and love about other people is really what your highest self and true potential really is. So if you see people and they're working on this level and you envy that and you wish that you can have it, it's because on a higher timeline, that's where you're going to be. That's where you're supposed to be. It just hasn't come in yet. And that's, going back to the beginning again, Nicole, aligning the conscious and the subconscious mind to get you to that spot. Because as long as your subconscious is coming in and jeopardizing your conscious mind in that way, you're never going to be able to move forward. So alignment of the two will help you grow. So what you see in others that are ahead of you is really your truest potential that you should eventually unlock. And then think about where they're at, what you really envy about where they are, and then go back to yourself and think about what what am I blocking that I haven't been able to open up that potential within myself.
Right. So what it is that I need to release in order
Right.
to get there, and in order to align in that. They're saying that I should have started off with what they wanted me to say, because now, like, I, like, kind of shut it down. I said what I wanted to say instead.
I know I
Um
felt like they were like, okay, they're talking to you and talking to me at the same time, like I'm hearing what's going on there, and I'm hearing like three different people. I feel like it's like boom, 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 like
I'm telling you, it's like off the charts right now for some
three
reason.
different people are trying to speak to you at one time.
So
Listen to this one, they're telling me. Listen at the here at your crown. Whoever's trying to talk to you at the crown is
it's so funny because as you said that, it's literally on fire, like
yeah.
right there.
That's who's got the most
Legit,
logic.
legit on fire. It's the logical versus non-logical, and the, and your point of view. It's just the way that
Right.
you think, like
Well, what really is logic? I mean, logic to everybody is
it's going to be
going
different.
to
It's
be different.
right.
Everybody's logical mind is different. What's logical to somebody else might not be logical to me, and what's logical to me might not be logical to somebody else. I mean, do you think that, people that aren't on a spiritual level will think that the fact that we, are talking to angels is logical? No, but for us it's a part of our logic.
Right. So, well, that's going to become more apparent too. As far as speaking to other beings is going to become more popular, because we all have the ability to do that. I mean, obviously, I've said this before, we
Mhm.
apparently I'm not allowed to voice my opinion today because or what I have to say because there's a
You
lot
don't have
of
an
people
opinion,
talking for me.
Nicole.
They're like, no,
You don't have an opinion today, Nicole.
you just need to try, like just no, and I'm like having like a little argument here. But anyway, that's going to become more apparent because everybody has the ability, to for telepathic communication, for to not just with us, but like with others that are around
Hmm.
us, other beings as well. Again, we are the only beings that use physical language. you know um you have to take that, and it you have to just take that into consideration. I don't know why you're taking it into consideration, but whatever.
I
Like,
think I'm gonna jump in. That is the reason of, you said we are the only ones speaking languages, is that everybody has the ability to telepathically conversate with other beings on this plane and other
yeah.
planes. Everybody could do it.
Yeah, which is going to become more apparent once everyone starts to awaken fully, is what they're
Mhm.
saying. So the more you awaken and the higher your vibration goes, the higher your frequency, you're going to realize that you can, speak, to other beings. You're going to hear them. So, as much as we may be dubbed as, crazy and whatever, we've come a long, like our whole, I don't even know what that word is. Um, sorry. Our whole, like the spiritual community per se, um, you know, was looked down on, whereas, we were always the higher. They're not,
Right.
and they're saying there's no higher, there's no anarchy, there's no, it's just we were always the ones that were aware, whereas, like the Matrix would make us be the ones that weren't. Like they were trying to keep us closed, they're showing
Right.
the metal against the metal.
Right. Well, we were before we turned on the podcast, you should go back and talk about what you were talking about the you used a word, something masculine.
Oh, the destructive masculine
This
is
is where that comes into
what they
play.
were telling me this morning. They were talking about it.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's well, that's all coming into play because we're finally in the physical world. Am I allowed to speak? In the physical world, coming to see who's really been running this country, right? Because as we know, it hasn't been the presidents in many years. It hasn't been. It's been this dark force literally putting up the matrix. So every single time like the divine feminine was stepping into her power, they made sure to ex-nay that right away because she couldn't show any power. The same thing when like, when just people started awakening, like they threw out COVID, like, but like there's been things all throughout. They're saying like the plagues, this, whenever like, there was a mass amount of humanity awakening, they threw something out. They threw,
Right.
like they kept throwing things out to keep us in the matrix, to keep us believing. So, once all of that comes down and you're like, you know, your vision becomes non-blurred. I don't know, we can use clear, non-blurred. Um, it's going to be more apparent that you can. So like, for people watching us in the future, they'll already be talking to their own guides, but we will evolve as light workers and stuff like that, be able to talk to even more. It's not like I don't talk to more as it is. Like,
Talking to
we'll
three
be able
right
to
now.
talk
What are
on
you
right
talking
on a
about? What are
broader
you
range
talking about?
of people. I could definitely tell you that not everybody that I'm speaking to right now is of a right. So I mean, there is non-humans, obviously, because even our higher self is non-human. So you can't even go there. But there's a lot of like, like a lot of different entities here that are talking to me at once. It's just going to become apparent that you can speak to your guides. And it's so funny because I was listening to the book that I sent you that they said the same thing, right? They're
I
telling,
didn't have a chance to listen
oh,
yet.
no, of course not. I mean, it's a
I'm
freaking
living in chaos right now,
book.
but it should calm down soon.
they're telling me it should click. Like it should click for me because I know this. so, they're saying that the average human will be able to, like be able to contact it, just like we talk to our guides, and they
Right.
tell us like things on a daily, like, like don't go this way, go that way. This, like this and that, like just the little things, like every human is going to be able to tune into that as well. So it's a different vibe, it's a different frequency moving forward. They're saying that it's going to come into play. Obviously, I've said this on, a handful of podcasts already, whereas it's us as a collective, like how well we work is how fast,
Hmm.
like we come back to, Project Earth is what I like to
Right.
call it.
The blurred vision is like those rose-colored glasses. Everything's starting to come off.
Right, so people are
People
literally
are
taking off
awakening.
and stomping on them, and breaking those lenses.
Right. And I mean, obviously we have to deal with a lot of social media, and that to me is the blurred vision. Go within yourself. The clear vision is what you believe inside yourself. The blurred vision is the thoughts and the opinions that everybody else is giving you and showing you. Because at the end of the day, 9 out of 10 times it's not a fact, and it's just somebody's opinion. And if we continue to listen to everybody's opinions, they become our own reasoning. So we need to step back and take a look within ourselves and say, that's not my opinion, and that's okay. That's where I am. I don't need to, fit into this box of people. I can have my own thought process. I can have my own belief system. And that is what we have lost through society, through the what was that thing? I cannot remember. The masculine,
Oh, the destructive
the
masculine.
destructive
Or the
masculine.
masculine in his destructiveness,
Well,
whatever.
yeah, and it
The
could
dark.
be a feminine or masculine, dark,
No, but
energy. And this is what
yeah,
we've lost within ourselves because that dark masculine energy has come in and began to change our belief patterns. And if you fall into that, then you don't have your own belief system. That's a problem.
right. So they're saying the as far as facts go, facts are, I don't even know how to translate that.
Well, what
Our
really are facts? I mean,
beliefs,
even data is only, a certain amount of things, of people.
of truth. Well, they're saying, okay, so
So
as
there's
far as
only a
that,
certain amount of truth.
right. So there's only a certain amount of truth in what we deem necessary as, or as what we deem facts, as what we see as facts. They're saying, like even when, we know if you sit there and you listen to something, I mean, they're okay. So they're using me as an excuse, an example again. It's like when I hear something and like right off the bat, even since I was young, I'd be like, that's not true. And like, like I'd
Right.
be in history class and I'd be like, that's not true. And
Right.
they
And yeah, you don't even know if it's true. It's just like your intuition being like, yeah, that's not true.
Right. And so they're saying, the same thing goes for now. Like there's no it's not good versus bad. It's kind of finding the truth, in between, and they want people to focus on that. The shifting, the changing, the not staying in the box and coming out of the box, because there, is that's what, society had us living in, is a box. I mean, for hundreds, thousands of years we've been put in a box.
No, and suppressing spirituality, I mean, since
Well,
Jesus
that's the
walked the
whole
earth,
thing. Right. And that's, what they're
Right.
saying is it's an alignment. That's your alignment to yourself. That's your alignment to your journey. So spirituality is the frequency of the alignment. It's not like, the way that the matrix has made you to believe that spirituality is a thought process. Although they're saying of course it is, because you're aligning, but it's your alignment. So they're saying that, I don't know, the word spirituality is kind of going to lose it's going to be more of
Well,
a
it's kind of like
for
how you
everyday life.
align. Everybody's going to align with spirituality different. And we talked about this in the one podcast. It was people that have gone through certain aspects in their life and living out spirituality compared to the people who have only known one thing their whole life, the only thing that they were ever taught, and then they just follow that. I believe that that's going to change. The boundaries are going to be will be broken down, and
Yes.
people will experience more spirituality on different levels than they've had before, if that made sense. I don't know. That's
Yeah. So yeah, you have to be genuine. You have to be authentic. And until you're in your authenticity, it doesn't matter like what you're practicing, what you're preaching, you're not in your, you're not in your alignment.
yes, because if you are following certain aspects, and I think this is where I got caught up for a long time, of following different aspects of religion, and then having all of this spiritual stuff happen to me, and then certain religious groups would look down on me and say, oh no, you're not experiencing that. Only if you talk in tongues can you talk to Jesus, or only a certain hierarchy can talk to Jesus, and you can't, um, because you're not a part of the clergy or anything like that. And I got stuck there for a very long time, and I thought the work that I did not serve a purpose. And it took going through a lot of different spiritual experiences, as you know, because you've went through them with me, that I was able to realize and hold on to the fact that I find truth in my work. I find truth in my spirituality. And I believe that the work I'm doing is for the good. And if people don't believe that, I'm at the point now where I don't care. I don't hold myself accountable for somebody else's belief system anymore.
Right. Which you shouldn't. They're saying, religion in general is going to be like obsolete. They say it with such a perfect, anyway, like, like that's not even going to be, whoever has their who, whoever, is going to be like really into their religion and kind of hold that factor, is going to be in a denser energy. Also, um, cultures are going to, we're going, everything's just going to change. Everything's going to change. Everything's going to change. So everything as you know it is basically going to change. It's the easiest way that I could translate that. There's going to be so much, so many things, so that obviously, positive level, but like as far as you're saying, like it holds you back, right, during your journey, because you're hearing
Mhm.
like all these different things from different people. And again, like that's the whole, that's the matrix trying to keep you in the box, when you feel that pull, right, you feel that alignment to something else, right, you're like, you're pulling yourself, they're trying to keep you in the box, and like you're trying to pull out of the box, and you're like,
Mhm.
no, 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 no. I know that there's, like I know this is wrong, I know that there's something more, even though you're telling me that it's wrong. And I think that becomes, like where a lot of people are the rule breakers. And they're saying that there's a difference between the privileged and the rule breakers. Holy moly. That's not what I was going to say, but holy moly came out. It's probably better that way. The rule breakers are the ones who know, right? And right, as I'm being one of them, right? Always, even in school, in society, like, I mean, I'm not out there like, robbing people. I'm not like on that level, but like as far as like you're telling me what to do, don't tell me what to do, because I know that you have no jurisdiction over me. Like, and I know that as a soul, and I always knew that as a soul. And it's like, but you're still trying to, like pound your beliefs on me, pound, like pound, but putting, like me in a keeping me in a box, keeping me shielded, keeping me this, when I always knew that there was so much more. So they really want people to lean into that side, you know, um, because we are having that massive split, and we are going, like, and I've been talking about that since like I want to say the beginning of our podcast, which was like November. The massive split of humanity. Because there are going to be that level that does stay in a denser vibration, which, again, will eventually, come up and meet us on that frequency, but they're choosing the tougher, more Yeah, that works. That translates. The more like intense um awakening because they refuse to, see what reality is playing out now. And that might be their path, or that may be their free will, because again, free will plays huge in it. And you could see that for us, right? Like going through our spiritual awakening, and just like 10 years to now, right? Like how many times we used our free will to be like, yeah, no, that's not true. That's not this. This is not that. And like the spirituality like kept throwing us in our faces. We kept like going the opposite direction, right? Like you opened up a clothing store. I was, doing R&F for like how many years, and like we were both like super successful in different directions. However, we always had that, like that calling, right?
Right.
We always had that. We were always going through it, but we always veered away from it. So, like free will is free will. So, but we never stayed in like such a, they're saying like, there's a group that's going to stay in negative density. Um, but we'll awaken, eventually up to our level. I don't know if that had anything to do with anything, but
That's what they wanted to talk about right
that's what I got. That's
now.
what I got. The continuing of the clearing, the purging, the transformation. Watch what you say to yourself, for the rest of this month. All, like whatever you're doing on yourself, like all of the work that you're putting in, your manifestations, when you think that they're not coming to fruition and all that stuff, you will be severely rewarded, highly rewarded. We're all going to be highly benefit from, all of the work that we've been doing, especially this month in general, clearing out everything that's not coming into the new lunar year, zodiac year, however you want to say it. The new cycle. There's a lot at play here, obviously, that we don't see, even as light workers, like being as connected as we are. We don't see a lot of what's happening. Like we get the feelings, we get the vibes, but like even at this point, we're being held. I mean, I could personally vouch for that. Like we're being held back from like really seeing what is taking place, on many levels, which I kind of don't like, but I got used to.
Yeah, we are being pulled back from certain visions.
Yeah.
But I'll
So
get months will come to me, certain months will come to me, but I won't be able to feel into the
yeah,
energy.
well, they are releasing things. They're saying, like our collective, where, well, it's not our collective, to the light workers, to the channelers, to the ones that are more awakened. We're going to start getting drips and drabs of what is happening, more now, like frequently, because we haven't been, they didn't want us to share anything, is what they're, I'm gonna put that down because I'm done with the crystal. They didn't want us, we weren't allowed to say what was transpiring, what was coming. Whereas like in the past, we were able to, like, although they had us hold back a lot of stuff too, and like they would say, like not to reiterate this to a lot of people or whatever the case may be, but
Right.
that was like, it's been a big hold recently, even more. So they're saying that they're gonna start to drip and drab that, like it's gonna start to trickle down, and we're gonna see that, and it's gonna be more open for us to view. We'll be able to share it with you guys out there. But as far as like everything goes, they're saying, like keep that power, like really, it's okay to have your off days. You're human, you're not perfect, you're never going to be, like high vibing all the time. You're allowed to have bad days, you're allowed to be angry, you're allowed to experience human emotions, you're allowed to experience your human experience, right? So keep like really keep that in mind. And like everything that's happening to you, and everything that you're clearing, and everything that you're going through in March is going to, is really gonna open up a whole entire new world for you. So they're saying get ready, like you be excited, because it's coming, and there's going to be a lot coming. And it's the way you view it, like everything is a positive exchange. Everything is, like right now, even if you're experiencing, and you're dubbing it as negative, is it really negative? Because it's an experience for you to clear out whatever it is that you're clearing out in order to have that big reset. So they're saying, like it's not negative, like not everything that perceive as negative is negative. It's all positive. It's all coming to a positive fruition. It's all coming to fruition. It's all coming to the physical where you see it, and a lot of things have to play out, like behind the scenes in order for us to be able to move forward in the physical. So they wanted me to leave you at that. I think that that's where they're done, and they're like, I think that's
They're going to close the port down.
that.
They're going to close it down. Close it
They
down.
wanted to touch on dreams, and that your dreams are still intense, and then you're just basically playing out scenarios that you do not have to play out in the physical. So take that. And I heard that too when I was listening to the book. So they want to reiterate that. If you haven't read it, I would suggest you read it.
I was going to say, you should share that.
Yeah, what is the name of the book? I'm like, what is it? It's because I do have that. I didn't even think about it, but apparently it's becoming a thing. So it's The Future Human by Lee Harris. So they're saying for many of you it'll just be like a validation. For many of another handful of you it will be more like a an awakening, a sparking of something. But for the majority of us it's going to be like more of a confirmation and validation of, oh my god, you're not crazy, like this is what's going on. So yeah, so that's where they would really want me to end it. So I mean, unless you have pass it on to Kristi, because we're taking it out. Like they're out. They're done. Peace, love, and light, people. That's what I have to say for tonight. For today. And then the fact that this is our last March podcast. So I'm going to be really excited to be back. I think we're on April 1st. We're due to come back. Is when we're like up to record again.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it should be it's gonna be exciting. Excited.
Yes, I'm excited. So for right now, especially for this week, stay mindful, stay in the moment, and think about how you need to align your conscious and subconscious mind this week in order to catapult yourself forward in the future.
Heart-based. Sorry. That's heart-based. It's what go into your heart. So when you're confused and you feel your mind's going in like 20,000 different directions, and we've spoke about that. We always speak about this. I don't know
We
why
spoke about this last week. Yeah.
in our conversation today. We're always like heart-based, right? Heart-based, heart-based. That's the difference even in the spiritual world. If it's not coming from your heart-based consciousness, doesn't matter what you're spewing in the spiritual world, because you're not coming from, that's your authenticity. That's when you're genuine, when you're coming from your heart space. Oh, Kristi, come on. We talk about this on every podcast. How we didn't talk about like heart space versus like mind is beyond me. But that's the difference between your conscious and your subconscious is your heart-based consciousness. That's where they want you to lead into versus, like where you're.
Yes. Use that frequency.
Yeah. Okay. And I
All right. Well, thank you for joining us on the raw, uncovered truth of the awakened soul. And we will catch you next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye.